This is the People's Television, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. The voice of the voiceless. Bringing the state of the struggle on your fingertips. Unmasking the genocide in Ambazonia. Reporting first-hand untold stories from Africa. Donate to ABC Amba TV every day. We the people must control the narrative. Internationalize the struggle, keep Ground Zero abreast and win the war. Cash App 240-486-8768. Hashtag $AmboABC. Zelle, donations at ambazoniafoundation.org. PayPal, support@abcambath.com. Thank you.
Fellow Ambazonians, dear countrymen, despite the hike in targeted summary execution of our innocent people by Probia's killer squads, I still believe we are now at the twilight of our political daybreak, emptying the combined worth and wealth of a lifetime fortune into the country of our collective dream.
A place we can surely call home.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Once again, we greatly apologize for the delay that we have had today. I'm believing that as the days go ahead, we should be having our programs coming up right at the time we announce them. For today, we are about 29 minutes late, and we sincerely apologize that delay. Again, you are welcome to Ethics for an Emerging Nation, okay? And today we have a very, very important and wonderful topic that we will be treating today. But before we get into that, as it is our custom and tradition here, we will quickly rush down for a 1 minute introduction, and then we go ahead. So I completely hand over to my co-host to go ahead and then take us through brief introduction.
Greetings, everyone. Greetings. Our host, Pastor Commando. Thank you so much again. Our panelists, our forever panelists. We are happy to see you guys today again once more on our Ethics for an Emerging Nation. A very, very, very important department, the Department of Ethics in the IG under Dr. Ikome, our president, most able president under Dr. Ikome Sako. So today our topic, before we start introducing our topic, I would like all of us to introduce ourselves again. As time goes on, our persons on home front, our restoration forces, our persons, everybody Ambazonia, in the diaspora, in the US, in Europe, in Asia, in South America, everywhere will know who we are, because we are preparing our emerging nation to have values that are totally different from La République. So we are already late into the program, or rather late to start the program. So I'm not going to delay any longer. I will ask everyone to introduce themselves. Back to you, Commando, to help them introduce themselves. Thank you.
All right. we go straight ahead. Let's start from alphabetical order. If your name is starting with okay, Dr. Titanta, please go ahead, give us.
Yes, good evening, fellow comrades. Good evening, Pastor Commando.
In Ukraine.
Good evening, Mamanka. Good evening, Dr. Tom Dula. Good evening to everyone. Good evening to everyone on the home front. Those who are watching right now live, whether on Facebook or watching on your TV shows. I say good evening. My name is Dr. John Titanta. I come from Babisi local government area, and I'm a member of the Extended Ethics Committee. It's a great pleasure to always participate in this program. I believe that ethics is one of the most important foundations of the nation. That if it is not well placed, the nation is starting on a wrong footing. So that's why I take this opportunity very seriously to participate in all of us learning to build an ethical society. It is very important. A society that has no vision, society made of leaders that have no ethical visions, is already bound for failure. And we are glad that even though we are still struggling to get our freedom from the La République slavery, we are already laying the right foundation for the nation, which surely will be free. Ambazonia will be free. 2 weeks ago, last week I was not present in the show, but I watched it and I loved every bit of it. I want to also say thank you to our able president, Dr. Komesako, for being very visionary, and I thank God for keeping him alive through the storms. And we will all come out emerge triumphant. We are not going to Yaoundé. We are going to Buea. That is a sure fact. God bless all of us. God bless Amazonia.
Yeah, Dr. Ndula, go ahead.
Yes, good evening, fellow panelists, fellow hosts and co-hosts. Welcome, fellow Amazonians, especially all of you on the home front to this program, Ethics for an Emerging Nation. My name is Tom Dola, come from Babisi, LGA, Gokotunja County. I'm the Vice Chair of Ethics Commission of Amazonia. Today, more than ever, as we see some people trying to usurp power to do some take over the leadership of the revolution by crooked means, by above all unethical means. It is very, very important that we learn about ethics and especially about ethical leadership, the benefit thereof in our future Amazonian nation. In our Amazonian nation that is already, whose independence has already been restored, but which the actual independence to be granted us by the international community that be full of people wanting their own interests, not having the interests of 8 million Amazonians at heart. So until that happens and we have our courts and prisons and police force running, we have the ethics commission that together with the judiciary tries to enforce ethical rules to be followed so that there be transparency, accountability, especially in the leadership of more Amazonians. So glad to be here today. Thank you.
Over to you, Comrade Tansi.
Okay, I am Peter Tansi. I come from the Savannah zone, precisely Mezam division, and the LGA is Bamendankwe. By profession, I work in the IT industry. Part of my day job is regulatory compliance, which is quite linked to ethics. So there is a saying. So well, let me welcome first our televiewers either on Facebook or on TV
YouTube.
or on YouTube. So welcome to the program. We really uh, take this topic ethics very seriously, because if we don't learn much of this and let every one of us learn it, and then we would not make the difference between Ambazonia that we would rule and La République du Cameroon, because part of the problem is the ethical values there have really been zero, and down history, countries that have made a difference and countries that have respect around the world, leaders that have respect for themselves and their country, and then therefore filters down to their country, are those that have brought in a lot of ethical value. So that's why we've taken this topic very importantly, and particularly myself, I really believe that ethical values, especially regarding the topic of today, the advantages of um, ethical leadership, very importantly. We will get into that, and we see what we have for ourselves, what we all have to learn.
Thank you very much. We will want to crave the indulgence of Dr. Tom Dula and Comrade Peter to just go ahead and give us a brief summary each for last week's outing, so we can dive in for today.
Dr. Tom, you want to go or I go? Okay, okay. Um, yeah, last week, just as a recap, we looked at value-driven. Well, the topic of last week was characteristics, the characteristics of ethical leadership. So the characteristics, and one of them was value-driven characteristic. So if a leader has values that rhyme very well in that society, or high values for that society, in that case, that particular high value will be very important, because values are dependent on the society in which you find yourself with. So a good example we gave was, say, in our Ambazonia, we have the value of respecting our elders. So if you are a boss or a leader and you have older people whom are working for you and you are the leader, give them that value of respect by calling them pa, ma, and all that. And so in that case, you're respecting him, and you would in turn. So that's just one of the values, example we gave. The other one was another value that we think ethical leadership should possess is uh, allow initiative, right? Initiative from the employee, those who are under you, and also encourage them to take initiative and also delegate powers to them. When you delegate activities to them, if you delegate activities to them, they would be somehow obliged or encouraged to use their initiative to carry out the tasks in which you are. We will limit the examples. We'll just go to the only the characteristics. So that was one. Encourage initiative and delegation of power, good characteristic to have as a leader. Another one to have as a leader is you lead by example. You yourself as a leader, you live by example. If you always say you want people to come early to the office, use their time effectively, you yourself should always be early in the office. So that in that case, you are leading by example. There are many other examples we can do, but that is that good characteristic. Live by example. Another one was to be focused on the team. Yeah, teams. Let things be done as a team. Don't act like an island. It should be a teamwork, team spirit. Encourage people to work as a team, asking their opinion, not just drumming down on them, asking their opinion. And the other characteristic you should have is to be kind, right? To become kind to the team members. So remember to be very kind to the team members because they will feel very, very valued, and in turn, they will be very kind to you. Also, these are some of the characteristics we discussed last week. Dr. Ndula would continue and give more.
Well, we also talked about sorry, about some characteristics that are imperative for a good ethical leadership. That leader should be fair, being impartial, that is not taking sides, not even to be seen as wanting to take sides, should always be in the middle, treat every of his or her subordinates in the same manner without any any fear or favor. Should be honest and should really come out clear and state where he or she stands with respect to important issues. I mean, you would take, for example, some of the coup plotters of late who up to the last moment have been there with sweet talks and trying to sit on the fence, and whereas they were full-time coup plotters. I mean, that is something very dishonest and dishonorable of a leader to not make people know where he or she stands with respect to our revolution, with respect to our God-ordained revolution, which also implies a God-ordained leadership, so that we don't have to be focusing on leadership issues and forget the main issue, which is focusing on the war back home, funding the war and helping our suffering people who are being massacred daily by the evil La Republic regime. So a leader who is not honest, is unethical, and not only brings shame upon his or herself, but brings more suffering on the people he is called to lead. So a leader should also be respectful, being humble, and not putting oneself above those you are called upon to serve. You are not there to elected or appointed to be the ruler over those or to lord it over those who are under you, but to serve them. Just as our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ said that, the told his disciples that, that the rulers of this world, they are there to be served and to lord it over others. That is to always show their power, their superiority over others. But it should not be like that amongst you people. You people should serve others, should be the servant of others. That is how I would want you people to be. And then he symbolically washed the feet of his disciples. So those are things to be followed by our future leaders and current leaders in Ambazonia, who are servant leaders called upon to serve their people, not to be served. So those are the things we talked about also last week.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ndula. So today, our focus is actually going to be on advantages. After discussing all what are the characteristics, today we are going to focus on advantages of ethical leadership. It's a very, very spirited topic, but before we get into that, I will bring in our host to talk, to have a discussion. We have a special guest today, and I think this is the time. Or are we not ready yet, Pastor Commando? You are muted.
Our guest is not yet in the house. I'm trying to get him to the house so you can go ahead.
Okay.
Well,
So in that case, we will continue. Yes. Yes, we will continue. I want to introduce this topic today, how important this topic is today. Importance of ethical leadership. Importance of ethical leadership. Our panelists have just discussed with us characteristics. They reviewed what we talked about last week. Honesty, bringing in everybody to be a part of it, leading by example. And today we are now going to actually discuss how important these characteristics in leadership, how important they are. The first person that I want to call on to discuss this is Dr. Titanta. Dr. Titanta, can you speak with to us today about how ethical leadership brings peace and prosperity to a nation? Could you talk to us about that?
Thank you, Mamaka. Yeah. I will first of all start by saying that Ambazonia is made up of, I would say, almost everybody is a believer in God. And the good book tells us that we must train ourselves in godliness. And that when we train ourselves in godliness, it profits in all things. Now, training ourselves in godliness profits in all things. And we know that the ways of God are ethical ways. So ethics is actually a program of God. It is a way of serving God. The Bible says, do all things unto men as if you are doing it unto God. So our service to our nation must be as if we are doing it to God. And all these characteristics of ethical people, ethical leaders that we have enumerated, they are all values that God actually talked about. Remember in the book of Galatians, God is clearly talks about whatsoever is truthful, whatsoever is patient, whatsoever is of good report. Think about these things. Focus on these things. So actually, when we claim to be believers, Christians, and we are not ethical, there is a conflict here. There is a trouble here because we are not living what we profess to be. Africa is full of churches, but yet we still have nations that are governed by leaders that are so unethical. So this is a contradiction of what we stand for. No, so now, as I really said, the Bible says, being ethical profits in all things. And Mamanka, you say I should talk about peace. Peace is not just the absence of war or of conflict, but peace is just, what is peace? Peace is just the ability to solve conflict with peaceable means. And peaceable means are what? Ethical means. So when there is conflict and you are not able to solve the conflict using peaceable means, you are biased. You are corrupt. You are doing immoral things. Instead of doing it in a peaceable way, you are actually violating the laws of God. So when a nation is governed by leaders that are ethical, the nation will be at peace. Imagine that we have quarter heads that are ethical people. We have chiefs of villages, funds that are ethical people. We have mayors that are ethical people. We have police officers that are ethical people. We have governors that are ethical people. We have a president or prime minister, secretary of state that are ethical people. There is no doubt that everyone can live a peaceable life. You are guaranteed that if you have a cause in a court, you don't need to go corrupting somebody in order to get your case through. Everybody, once there is a case, it will be solved to the point that both parties will always agree, because when we all come to agree on ethical values. So peace, definitely, the nation will. Look, when we look at La République, the place is not a peaceful place. It's not a peaceful place at all. I'll give you an example. When I left Cameroon in 1996 to go study, I went first to Benin Republic, which in 1996 was one of those early democratic nations in Africa, which was really practicing some ethical value. I lived there for 2 years. I could see ethical. I could see the president being called to the parliament to answer questions, being questioned like I could not believe that was in Africa. I was there for 2 years, and I never saw any policeman stop me on the road to question me anything. But the day I landed Cameroon, from airport Douala, going back from the airport, going down to Douala city, policeman just stopped me and asked all of us to show our document. I said, my God, I came from a foreign country and nobody for 2 years, no policeman ever stopped me to question me anything. I have now come to my hometown. I am treated like a criminal. So you see this kind of thing, and corruption. Everybody was blocked there. You had to pay something before you're allowed to go. We were stopped for hours. It's a waste of time, and people are fearful in the society. When they see uniform officers, they are all frightened, because they are not ethical people. So we are not going to have a nation that is characterized by people who violate ethical values. So Amazon will be a very peaceful nation that will be respected all over. Thank you.
Peace brings prosperity. People feel confident to invest in a peaceful society. People know that the police and the government is not going to come and use unjust means to take away their resources or their investments. Peace, ethical leadership brings prosperity. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Dr. Titanta, for that. Because when you compare,
may I just also add that just today I had a young lady who went to visit Cameroon. She came to my shop this evening and she was lamenting how terrible the place is. She said, when I was about to leave the country, one immigration officer just stopped her and took her suitcase from her and said, ma'am, I'm taking your suitcase away. She said, why? She was like, she couldn't believe that this was the way she was treated. I said, it's normal. That is the way that nation functions. It is respect of everything. And until she paid 60 euros, that man let her go. So I said, this is what I've been telling you about that nation. That is not, it is a nation of problems. It's not peaceful. Foreigners are not at peace when they come into your country. Everybody come, they are threatened. Investors cannot come in to invest. That's why the place is the way it is. But Ambazonia will be a place where many people will want to come in and invest.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. That is the Ambazonia that we are aspiring to create. The Ambazonia that we are all already letting you guys, all of us on home front, all of us in the diaspora should emulate and practice these principles, because we are going to create an ethical Ambazonia that will be peaceful and be prosperous. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for that, Dr. Titanta. Comrade Peter.
Okay. Yeah. Characteristics. We just said the characteristics last week, but what are the advantages that if a leader has this characteristic? What are the advantages to the society or to the country? So we would be, if that leader has those characteristics, we would be building a society or an organization, either a department or your company. You'll be building a company in which meritocracy and equal opportunity reigns. What does that mean? It means people would only gain promotion through merit. People would get their positions only through merit. So you are giving equal opportunity to people who have same ability. If you distinguish yourself, you then have that position, or you can then advance. It's not a matter of saying man no man, as they talk for we country talk. Man no man, or crash my back as crash your back. Whether you be able to do that thing or not, you take that position. That one no fine. With the bill society way, with the bill and with people where they no get clue of what way they do. So
Thank you.
that one, fine. So merit, progress on merit, promotion on merit. Take for example, if you are um, a football coach, for example, and you're having so many players training for you, just know that the center forward should be the best person that you've been looking over time that can play that position. Same for all other positions. In that case, you are building, if you had those characteristics of that we named last week, you are building a big, powerful team which would be successful. And you are building a good society. People will also trust that your sport. So those are the advantages of doing that, because you then get that good big team if you get those characteristics and apply. Take for example, if you were, or even a government department. If you are in a certain government department, say uh, uh, where you have been put to give out contracts to people, and you have those characteristics of of a good leader that we discussed last week, you will be picking the best to do the contract, and you are building a strong society. And you will gain, you building a strong society, you also giving equal opportunities to different contractors to do it only by merit. So that is it. Another one advantage that a leader who has those characteristics that we enumerated last week is you are building trust and respect. Trust and respect both for yourself as a leader, people will respect you, and in turn, because you already have that characteristic, you are respecting them too. They would also gain your trust. So it's a two-way thing, and which is very good for productivity in whatever organization you are. If you are working in an office, they will be very productive. They will put their best because you are respecting them. They put your best, and therefore you will have the best department. You will have the best country. If say for example, and they will be loyal to you too, right? Which is good. If take for example, if you were the head of state and you were to get this trust and respect, you would be respected if you go out of your country. You'll be respected among other leaders. Nobody will just take you for granted. And because you are getting that respect for yourself, they will have a lot of respect too for your own citizens. Not only yourself, your own citizens, which is very, very important. So that is a leader who has those characteristics. You get respect for yourself, respect for your people you work for, respect for your organization. And we might take this a bit to on the business side of things, right? If you are a business leader, if you are a business person, and you have what does that, and you have those characteristics, what does that respect mean for you and your business? If you had those ethical characteristics, it means that you would, if you are, say, for a builder, you are a carpenter, right? And you were, and what does that respect mean to you? It means you would get more jobs. People will leave different parts of your locality to come only to you to give you contracts. Those working for you will get a lot of respect from you, and you respect them. They will do a very nice job, and your company will be growing very quickly, very fast, and which is good for you, good for society, good for those who are working for you. Yeah, so those just for example, it implies too for in business. Another one, what does that respect means? If you were a shopkeeper, those working for you would be very, very respectful to you. They will be respectful to the customer, and therefore more customers will come in, and you will be doing very good business. So that is, I've taken the case of say the government department and say the head of state and the business, if that what that will means to your business, right? So the one other advantage that I would just mention is um, if you have those characteristics of a leadership, you will be incentivized. You will be an incentive for people. Say for a country, you'll be incentive for people to come in and invest in your country. What does investment mean? Is that important to a country? Definitely yes, because when they invest in a country, they employ your citizens. Your citizens will be employed. Your citizens will gain some technical expertise from some people coming in, and if they have initiative, because you are preaching it, they can even use that to open up their own business and then produce very high quality goods, which is very good. And again, even when people invest in your country, what does that mean? It also means a lot of tax to the government, which is very good. So that those are the advantages of, say, a country having a leader or a department having a leader with high ethical characteristics. That's for government departments. Say, for example, if you were the minister of or a department which deals with agriculture, and you respected all those people who do agricultural products very well, they in turn reproduce, say, some people railing cows, and you take off, you have that responsibility, that characteristic of going down the field, meeting these people, as we said last week. You're trying to lead by example. These people will be very happy. They'll produce high quality goods because they know you are concerned. And again, that is very good for the business person, for your country. More tax to the government because you need money to carry on government projects. So that's very, very important. So those are just some of the advantages of having those ethical characteristics as a leadership. And you see that that those characteristics go to change the mindset. That mindset goes to change the society, and those are the characteristics. Well, those are the advantages. Sorry.
Thank you, Comrade Peter. That is awesome. Meritocracy breeds productivity. Meritocracy breeds productivity. And we can see, the dysfunctional republic is because, guess what? They have hired people who do not deserve, who do not have the education, who are their brothers. Imagine you have a company and you go bring your illiterate family people just because they are your family or from your own village, and you put in the offices. What you are going to have is a dysfunctional and unproductive, and not like the Comrade Peter said, your company will not grow, your government will not grow, your country will not grow. That means that businesses will want to come and invest in that community. And of course, the country will remain poor. And it is because you are an unethical leader who does not believe in meritocracy. And we see, we can enumerate tons and tons of examples of Republic. Ambazonia is going to be based on meritocracy. That means that all our children who have gone to school, who have come out, who have passed their exams, who know what they are doing, will be in those offices. We are not going to have kids who are not able to write in an office because they have placed somebody there who does not know how to write. We are not going to have teachers who are speaking French teaching our English-speaking children in schools. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for that, comrade. Thank you. Now I'm going to go on. We have Dr. Ndula. Dr. Ndula, thank you so much. Could you speak to us on ethical leadership and the well-being of the common man? Can you hear us?
Such a theme is not difficult to talk about. All of us have had decades of experience with the evil La République regime, which was our government forced upon us for as long as we were living, and in our schools. In the schools, the curriculum was already corrupted and tampered with by not even mentioning the name Southern Cameroons, or not even making us know we used to be a country. We used to be an autonomous people who governed themselves, who had democratically elected successive governments, even before La République ever dreamed of becoming independent on 1st January 1960. So the corruption was already there. We used to, at school, we used to hear about people like Abel Mukong, who wrote books like Prisoner Without a Crime. And we used to be told that those are agitators. Those are people who, like, they don't want peace. And we used to hear that some group, SCNC, every 1st October, they go and then make demonstrations, and then they don't like us being this one Cameroon. We were happy. What do they know? What do they want? We are a country well respected in the world, and only us and Canada are bilingual, having English and French as official languages, and we are proud of that. So we were so naive because our minds had been twisted, and we were never taught such things in school. So that was already the starting of unethical leadership at the highest level, and subduing us, and many of us knew nothing about it until 2016, when our liberation quest actually started. So talking about ethical leadership that cares about everybody, the masses, not just for the privileged few. In La République, it is, quite something we know about. The system is, you will just sit, you will have like a problem with a rich neighbor coming to claim your land. And before you know it, the police is there to arrest you, to take you over to prison. You get locked up. You, the innocent, who was actually planning to go and report the case to the police, but your strong and powerful and rich neighbor already went there, gave money. That is what speaks in La République. Money, influence, and popularity. So those are the privileged whose cases get heard, and then you will be languishing in the cell there for days on end before your relatives can come to you. You who are the innocent and who are to accuse the other person. So that is already very, very unethical leadership that leads to such things. And all of us just understood it was like that. So, but in the Amazonian system, at the time you are innocent until proven guilty, and you get served with with a subpoena with a request that this and such a person has a case against you. You are to appear before court, and first of all, even before such people they enter your house, into your home, you have to give them the permission. They don't just break into your place like the La Republique gendarmes, policemen who think they are entitled, they own everything, including in Ambazonia. So that is the type of ethical leadership that was used to be in an autonomous Amazonia, and which we hope to instill also. And then there is embrace of transparency and accountability, especially in leadership. Case in on point, I mean, we've inherited much of such bad practices from La Republique. In Faco County, for example, when there was problems there and the presidency overtook the leadership of Faco Defense for some time. And as he was getting away from there, he requested for some audit because monies were flowing in and out. So something very normal to be requested for, so that everybody knows who was dealing with what money, and those there refused providing such audit. So that wasn't something ethical at all. Because if you refuse to provide an audit of the money that was handed to you, how you dealt with it within the time that the presidency was took over the defense there, then either you have something to hide, or you are not for transparency and accountability, which makes you an unethical leader. So that is something to be frowned upon in the future Amazonia. And you might not be corrupt. You might just be, insubordinate to leadership that is already being unethical also, because you being a leader, there is always somebody above you and those below you. If you don't listen to instructions from above, how on earth would you expect those under you to listen to you? So what goes around comes around, as they say. You only get what you give. And people will just pay you lip service and just smile when you're around. But when you turn around, they will say, hey, look at that person who doesn't even respect his or her own boss. So why should I even respect him? He doesn't deserve it. So then that way a society will thrive if ethical leadership is there that cares about the well-being of the masses, not only of the privileged few, and a leadership that embraces transparency and accountability. So that is what is most needed in Amazonia of today. I'll leave it at that for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ndula. Thank you. The well-being of the society. The well-being of a society depends on ethical leadership. If you are an ethical leader, the well-being of your citizens, of everyone who lives in your country, their health, their families, their businesses, their wealth, everything about that country, the well-being of a society, the way they interact with each other, there will be peace. Mediocrity leads to prosperity. The host, Pastor Commando, I'm giving this back to you.
Yes. All right. Thank you very much, panelists. I think it has been well articulated and well spoken, touching, especially when it comes to what they call meritocracy. I like that word, meritocracy. And that is what Ambazonia is fighting all to go with, meritocracy. And we have heard it all from the men that matter in this business. We have heard it all from them. And so, as we have heard it from them, we are going to straight ahead get over to our guest to find out from him, as we all know that we are talking about ethical leadership. Now we're going to go over to our guest and find out from him in his department. He will tell us his department and then go ahead and tell us how this ethical leadership can enhance a brighter and brightest future for the Ambazonia we are building. Remember that the Ambazonia we are building now is like the old temple. When the new one was constructed, the elders that were in the temple who had seen the old one, instead of rejoicing and dancing with the people, they were crying, because even the new temple that came in, some values that made them, see God were missing. And we are very optimistic in what we are doing here, that the new Ambazonian we are building is going to overshadow the old Ambazonia, because that was done in the I don't want to call it, no, it was in the Iron Age. And we have transcended from Iron Age to computer age, and from computer age we are now in the age of chips, where you can just touch a button. And in fact, they are even trying to get still waiting for that invention, that I will sit down here and get to my co-host Mamanka eating a chop over there in the US, and I say, please send me a little. And before I realize it's sitting on my table, we are still getting into that age. So, Paddy, you are here as our guest, and your department. Go ahead, introduce yourself, tell us your department and what you have come to talk to us as far as this ethical leadership is concerned for Ambazonia. Over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Pastor Commando, for the opportunity. Am I audible enough?
Yes.
You are just, yeah,
Yes,
you're
thank
audible
you,
enough.
Dr. Dula, Dr. Lobati, Dr. Dula, Sir,
No,
Mamanka.
Dr. Lubati is not here.
Okay,
There is no
I'm
Dr.
sorry.
Lubati.
Okay, I'm sorry about
Oh,
that.
we have Dr.
Thank you
Titanta.
very
We have
much,
Dr.
sir.
Titanta.
I am Dr. Titanta,
Sorry, we have
yes.
Dr. Titanta, Dr. Ndula,
Yeah,
and Comrade Peter Tanshi. So these are the three
okay.
panelists that we have.
I really would love to see Mamanka on the screen as I speak. Where's Mom? Sirs, I must say that I'm humbled to be with you uh, on the same platform, owing to the wealth of wisdom that you all have, the passion that you are all putting in to serve our nation. Some of you have already lived and achieved your time, like Mama, like everyone I'm seeing here. I think I hope I'm not prophet of doom, but I would say it's right to say that you can count your days, but you're fighting a war that is a war for us. I'm not a member of this department, but I believe the leader of ethics, who is Madoroti, nominated me to read this, since the one who is supposed to do it, I think Ambazonian Directorate of Youth, Sports, and Culture, is not yet to do so. So Madoroti nominated me to come and read what was written. It's a long write-up, and some of you know my schedule already. I have not had time to go through it, so I'm going to take it slowly and meticulously. But before I go, I want to take this opportunity to thank. I've been following your program. This is one of the programs I go on the website. I particularly subscribe on ABC Amba TV website, so I can always watch and rewatch and watch the rebroadcast because it's very educative, very informative. I want to particularly thank Ma Mankaa. In fact, everyone here, particularly Mama
Yeah,
Khan, I know exactly
Paddy,
why. I was telling
Paddy,
somebody,
hello, Paddy. Just a
yes, sir.
moment. Are you having a fan or anything? Because there is a kind of noise that is really
No,
disturbing.
it's not coming
Uh,
from my end.
oh, okay.
It's not
All
coming.
right.
Maybe all of us can just mute our audio, not the video.
Yeah,
We might just
yeah.
want to
In
mute our
cables,
audio as I speak. Yeah, it's not
right.
coming from me.
Yeah, it was coming from Dr. Ndula. I can now see. All right, let's go.
So I want to just thank Mama Ka particularly. I was talking to someone. The person brought to me um, something and showed and said, "This is from Dr. Ngwambe," and I told the person, "No, it's not from Dr. Ngwambe. I have this." What I responded. The person might be watching now. I don't want to call their name. I told the person, Dr. Ngwambe might have his strong opinions. We might have different political standpoint, but he will never insult anybody. If you see, I've worked with Dr. Ngwambe, if you see his attitude, the way he talks with people with respect, you realize that he was properly raised. And what I told that person at the background, this has been about a month now, about a month or two. What I told that person, I said, from that indication, you can know who raised Dr. Ngwambe. So I'm saying this, a lot of Amazonians don't even know that Dr. Ngwambe is mother is Mama Ka. You can argue with him, but you'll never hear him insult. I would say that Mama Ka is one of the right person to be on this platform to give us ethics. Some of the things that us Amazonians do not seem to get is the fact that we feel that to contravene or contradict, you have to insult. And for the time I work with Dr. Mwambe, I have never, this is not an exaggeration, I've never heard him insult even once. So just to tell us that he's a fruit from somewhere. Mama Ka, thank you for your dedication towards us. We believe that you're training every youth that is watching you in the same light. So let me quickly read this message that was given to me. It was captioned, Ethic for an Imagination. Okay, that's the title of the program. The topic is the importance and advantages of ethical leadership in sports as a critical area in society that needs exemplary ethical practices. The people of the world, and sporters in particular, are deprived of its most fundamental ethical wealth by wrong practices, some of which are media coverage of corrupt governance, athletes' transgressions, the, the ideas of fair play, which all give the public a cause for concern as to the validity of competition and fair play. Many athletes use banned substances or matches are fixed, which can all have a dramatic effect on the public's opinion on sport. This, as a result, damages public perceptions of the integrity of sports as an arena for competition, from grassroots competitions to international mega events. These call into question every aspect of the sporting leadership, from the highest levels of governing organizations all the way to individual athletes. Much has been made of leadership scandals and a moral malaise. Ethical leadership appears to be in short supply as leaders are replaced, but nothing much seems to change. We're going to examine the concept of ethical leadership and leadership approaches in sport and what we will practice while in Boya. Building a strong ethical leadership foundation in Boya starts from here and today. Wow, I've not even, I'm just in the introduction. This was sent to me by Comrade Joe, who is a leader. So he titles it Moral Bankruptcy in Sports Across the World. Modern sports is under scrutiny in an era of weekly international headlines declaring its moral bankruptcy and looking to leaders for answers. Ethical leadership is integral to the continued success of sports, yet is everywhere under attack as acts of corruption undermine the idea of support of sports by taking control of and manipulating the variables that define sport in order to benefit specific individuals or groups. Sport has been under fire in recent times as a hotbed of poor ethical choices, underwhelming integrity, and in some cases straight out corruption. Common problems have included the normalizing of harmful practices that put people at risk physically and psychologically, various forms of deceit and fraud that amount to cheating, avoidance of social responsibility on tough human rights issues, both within the ranks and in the sports environment, and a win at all cost mentality that leaves a chosen few bathed in gilded glory, but many more as collateral damage along the way. In Amazonia and on arrival in Boya, we will put the Olympic spirit of fair play first. This is a spirit which recognizes participation more important than winning. Amazonians already have a winning mentality embedded in them and do not need any malpractices to be on top. After all, as an emerging nation, our first victory at any competition is participation, and the rest can come in any order. We will educate our athletes to enjoy the game and put in all their natural efforts to win. We will discourage any malpractices at all levels and make sure we provide first-class infrastructure and leadership management structures to guide and protect our athletes at all levels. This will give them what it takes to be on top without any malpractices. The Amazonian Directorate of Youth and Sports and Culture is already putting in place rigid administrative structures not only to administer but to build everything from zero, with a lot of checks and balances to avoid any administrative malpractices. We will fight against any cases of abuse of office and clinging to power, which are still widespread within sports organizations, very visible in many African countries. Reflecting its universal popularity, football, just like many other sporting activities, is always prone to forces of corruption. The first area of abuse and malpractice is the election of administrators in what passes for sports elections. Vote by manipulation and other corrupt practices are rampant. A rule change barring others from running with the incumbent executive members, etc. The sports media covering the poll reports one would hear claims that top candidates for the position of chairman president denied their rivals access to delegates by paying for the delegates' transport and providing room and board in hotels watched by the candidates' henchmen right until they go to vote. Football suffers under these elected officials because they have an eye on other things such as politics or simply the amassing of wealth. As a result, there is a chronic lack of professionalism in the management of the game. At the national level, the approaches to match, even big international levels, is shockingly casual. Money meant for looking after the team players, allowances and bonuses is pocketed by administrators in the football associations. Even national team selection is not free of corruption. In conversations with players, some national team coaches depend a cut from allowances and bonuses of certain players, especially the peripheral ones, or he would drop them. These are reflections of the shocking cases of sport suffers. FIFA.com 2007. Financial misappropriation, match fixing, has emerged as a huge threat to sport. This shows how low sport was sinking at the hands of those bent on manipulating results. An unprecedented doping scandal has rocked sport in recent years as cases of doping are in the increase. Major events are a main avenue of abuse and corruption in sports. For example, the selection of national teams for the Olympics, the All-African Games, the Commonwealth Games, the World Athletics Championships is determined by meeting individually set qualifying marks, Commonwealth Games Federation. There are times, however, when respective federations have the discretion to pick an athlete and player through a white card system. This is prone to abuse as it can be used to favor or victimize athletes or even to smuggle people. Formulating policies on sport in some countries is only now occurring 50 years after independence. Ambazonia shall make the difference with ethical leadership. Sport leadership in Ambazonia shall reside within the leader, that is based deeply on health values, as well as disseminate outward from the leader, that is how this person thinks and behaves. Ethical leadership here will be on the demonstration on normatively appropriate conduct through personal actions and international relationships, and the promotion of such conduct to followers through two-way communication, reinforcement, and decision making. Suggest an intertwining of leadership and ethics with most leaders' decision and made the actions taken having ethical implications, that is, they affect other people. Here are some core fundamental values in human interactions which Ambazonians will go for in their leaders. Number 1, wisdom. Number 2, courage. Number 3, humility, humanity. Number 4, justice. Number 5, temperance. Number 6, transcendence. Leaders who internalize core values like this display moral courage as they act on and make them integral parts of their respective sport organizations, and by so doing, molding great ethical sports women and men. The principle of ethical leadership: respecting others, serving others, showing justice, manifesting honesty, and building community. In Ambazonia, we are preparing leaders who lead with purpose, values, and integrity. Leaders who build enduring sport organizations, motivate their employees to provide superior customer service, and create long-term value for shareholders. Ethical leaders understand they will inevitably face ethical challenges to their core values, and so must be prepared to face all the odds from corrupt individuals and organizations. We expect Ambazonian sport leaders to start thinking in this direction and understand that we shall not condone with anything short of this. We have seen in recent weeks and months how the ethical leadership of our president was challenged by those who can't face in the orthodox way. They prefer unorthodox practices to reach their goal. Let us be prepared for better days ahead. The dove in our flag isn't just a carrier of peace, but a great messenger from God. An ethical leader works to create an open conversation and working practice that encourages the sharing of ideas, knowledge, and vision so that the benefit of the learning is shared. The leader must also compel others to follow the lead, and he or she sets by the standards that are reflected in the way they live, influence, and inspire. The leader's character and decision-making ability should not come into question at any time. So it is important that strong values and principles are set in place. Ethical practice should therefore form an integral part of the framework a leader uses to relate to everyone and every situation. Putting aside ego and personal interest is a key part of leading from an ethical perspective, and challenges to personal ideas and opinions must also be dealt with and accepted if ethical practice is to work successfully. Accepting responsibility for actions and decisions and being accountable is also an important ethical requirement. Exercising good leadership for the benefit of others and understanding the importance of following an ethical code of practice when leading will also help ensure leader maintains a high standard of support and service. Amazonian leader as a model. Leaders are role models, so it is therefore important to lead by positive example. If you want to encourage individuals or an organization to work in an ethical way, it is essential to lead in an ethical manner. Working with an ethical system encourages the building of trust, inspires others to follow the example set. We have examples in the present IG structure, like Professor Martin Ayim, our Chief of Staff, and yours sincerely, Joe Bashir, all former players of PWD Social Club of Bamenda. Ethical leadership also earns respect and credibility and can lead to collaboration with other ethically minded individuals and organizations. Leading from an ethical standpoint will also provide an individual or organization with unquestionable integrity and provides the opportunity to lead from a moral high ground. Ethical leadership is a form of leadership in which individuals demonstrate conduct for a common good that is acceptable and appropriate in every area of their life and not only sports. It is composed of the following three major elements. Be the example. Champion the importance of ethics. Communicate. Quality relationships tend to build on trust, fairness, integrity, openness, compassion, and respect. Ethical leaders can help establish a positive sport environment which with productive relationships over three levels: the individual, the team, and the overall organization. Nurturing the relationship at each of these levels can lead to the following outcomes and benefits. Number one, well-being of the individual. Number two, the energy of the team. Number three, the health of the sport organization. Number four, the nation becomes the greatest economic, health, and moral beneficiary. The characteristics of ethical leadership, of ethical leaders, I'm sorry. An ethical leader is someone who embodies the purpose and values of the sport organization or team that he or she works for or leads. To be an ethical leader requires the ability to be open, honest, and direct in all situations and with all kinds of people. Should possess the characteristics of understanding what is happening around them and their own bigger picture, principles, and values. Understand themselves and their own likely responses to ethical dilemmas. Know a slippery slope trap when they see one. Other characteristics of an ethical leader are maintenance of a consistent energy that remains morally focused, determined, and forthright, making decisions in an ethical way, while also leading in an ethical manner. Acknowledging attitude of people, issues, and directing an initiative of sport organization in a particular style and having a clear understanding of the importance of statements and actions is also required. Leaders need to practice these principles to communicate, build team, motivate professionals, embrace diversity, and resolve conflicts in an organization. Being conscious of these principles, of their principles, morals, and systems of beliefs, and making the right decision. In sport organization, leaders are not only dealing with coaches, players, and athletes, but must also work towards developing sports organization system to frame strategies that promote the importance of the sports organization. These are not mere theories, but tried and tested principles in real life. Many Amazonians were squeezed out of these qualities by our neighbors, who were all but the opposite of what our views represent. Today, we have the God given opportunity to rebuild from zero, and we are not going to let the chance slip in between our fingers. Amazonia is the place to be. Come and let us build the foundation. An announcement that concludes. The Directorate of Youth, Sport and Culture is in search of coaches of all sports and sports event organizers, cultural practitioners, artists, and cultural event organizers. They should be of Amazonian origin. Contact, you can contact me on ABC Amba TV and provide your contacts. You can also contact, we have our WhatsApp on ABC. If you send a message, it will definitely get to us. Signed by the Director of Department of Youth, Sport and Culture, Joe Bashi. I want to thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for being patient.
Should I say something?
Yes, ma'am.
Commando, please let me take the opportunity from you. Pastor Commando. Pastor Commando, can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Pastor is muted.
Okay.
Go ahead. Yeah, Mama, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am.
I call Paddy my son. So I did not know he was coming to say something about me. I had been expecting a phone call all day. You know, I'm a businesswoman as well. I'm so thankful. When the phone call came in, I was able to come back just in time to listen to the last piece of what you presented. I'm really sorry that phone call came because it disturbed me from hearing the introduction you were going to give. You are a young man. I have seen you work with my son, Dr. Ngwambe. I have never wanted to come on TV and explain this relationship. It's not of me. I'm a very, very ethical person. I remember when I was in Ghana on my business trip, you were calling me to set up that I can help set up the station in my house, and I told, and you know, you are a young man. You are growing, just like my son, Dr. Ngwambe. You guys thinking are different, but I know you are both of you have Ambazonia at heart. I know there are people who question, but they have no understanding. The difference is that you grew up in Cameroon. My son grew up in the US. And they are thinking people who grew up here. And we all know that when we come to this society, our thinking is changed. I have been here for more than 40 years. So that's why when I can tell you guys, when I speak from an ethical point of view. I'm going to tell you guys something. The president called me when I was in Ghana. He offered me a position. I'm not going to tell you guys what position because it's between him and I. But if I were any Ambazonian, I would have taken that position. I told him, Mr. President, I respect you for thinking of me in that light, but I am not qualified. I do not have the understanding. I do not want to be incompetent in my job. I do not want to bring you down. And I turned it down. That is how ethical I am. Anybody else would have been excited about power. I am not excited about power. I want to see us succeed. I'm going to tell you guys another story. I had, you guys may not know, I have a non-profit organization This organization has built an $850,000 hospital in Cameroon. When I say, I mean $850,000. I don't mean CFA. Okay? And when I
That's close to
built
$1
this,
million.
close to $1 million. And when I built this hospital, I had an opportunity where I could have worked with the Minister of Health. And the person who was putting me with the Minister of Health in Cameroon was going to offer me another thousands of dollars. I turned it down. He wanted me to take documents that were to be taken to the Minister of Health, and they were going to corrupt the country. And I turned it down. For me, it's not about money. It's about seeing the country grow. It is about, I don't think I can even explain it. When I went home and hired staff to work at the hospital, I was shocked at their ethical behaviors. Some of them could not even read and write. So when you guys see me fighting, these are graduates from the university. So when you see me involved and fighting, it is because I remember the Ambazonia of the day that I left. I remember the Ambazonia of the day that I left. I have a for-profit business in the US. It's doing very, very well. I have a lot of people who want to work in my organization because they know how I treat them. For me, ethics is an everyday. I breathe it, I live it, I practice it, and I hope that everyone in Ambazonia, ethics does not mean complacency. It doesn't mean weakness. It means you stand up and fight for the underdog. You fight for yourself. You don't let people run over you. My people, home front, wake up. They are killing us. There is no way I am going to be in Ambazonia. Somebody will come and burn my house and I will not retaliate. That's not means I'm unethical. I am a very ethical person. Thank you all. Paddy, thank you.
Wow.
Thank you, ma'am. Just to Pastor Commander, with your permission, I just want to confirm something that Ma said when it comes to high ethical values. I said it from when I started. One thing I realized working close with Dr. Mwambe is, I'm not exaggerating, I have never ever heard Dr. Mwambe insult anyone. And even those I've worked with him, either from HSS or with the communications department, if anybody has seen it, they can disprove me. He can argue with you his own opinion, but he doesn't insult. That's something I would say I really observed and I admired about him. And that's a proof of what maybe he has learned. And that's just to justify the ethical values you are telling us today.
I want to say something. We came from a very successful ASSC2. We came from a very, very, very successful ASSC2. And every time I turn, instead of us focusing on ASSC2 resolutions, I see insults. Those are not contributing towards our progress. People, let's focus. Let's talk about what we achieved at ASSC2. I watched every bit of it. We have so much to accomplish. Tomorrow, Saturday, is going to be an ASSC installation of the people who are going to represent us. Let's come up with solutions. Let's come up with ideas. Let's focus. We are already winning. We have already won. The coup plotters are gone. We won. Let's focus on how we are going to develop our nation starting with ground zero.
From
No,
Thank you,
front.
home
Daddy.
front.
With
Home
home
front.
front.
Pastor Commando, can I say something here?
Okay, go
Yeah, go
ahead,
ahead,
sir.
sir.
Yes. I really I really did not know much about our interim government we had. But now listening to people like Mamanka and having been subjected to the leadership of Dorothy, I can clearly tell Ambazonia right now that the coup plotter has to leave. Because how can darkness and light live together? The Bible says if they were of us, they would not have left. But they had to leave because they were not of us. They were not of the ethical Ambazonians. They had to leave. And I'm very thankful. And I believe God that if there is still some that need to leave, they have to go. Because I am really feeling comfortable. I am feeling really excited to be part of this team because that is the spirit I love to be around. God bless you, Mamanka. God bless you, Paddy. God bless all of you. God bless our president.
Thank you very much, panelist. Thank you, co-host. Thank you very much, our guest. Before we call it quit today, and before you all say your final word, I just want to say that if there are any departments that I would like to covet, covetousness is a sin, but the Bible says that we should covet earnestly very good gifts. And seeing that this department is a gift for Ambazonia, I covet it. So let nobody say I'm a sinner because I've quoted what the Bible says we should covet good gifts. So I want to say that when it comes to ethics and the ethical behavior, you don't need to go to Oxford University to find out who is who. You just need to interact with the few people that are around you, and you will be able to decipher whether these people are actually, because there are people who speak theory and there are those that actually are practical. And with the practical ones, most of the times they don't talk. And that is why we have a little big problem, because the righteous ones, the ethical ones, sometimes they keep quiet. And I think that we are in an era where we are not going to say, okay, let them do it. God will see us through. Yeah, God will see us through, but God wants you to say something to make the difference. And this is the difference that we are talking here. And we would like to get people of this caliber with their testimonies. I think I fall also under the category of Mamanka, where I was called upon to have something in the government. And I told Mr. President, no, I have some people that I think they can fit into this situation. And I said, I'm contented being a servant of God and being in my calling as a pastor, though it's not a crime to be right there in the forefront of the political arena. I said, I think what I'm doing now, I am very, very comfortable doing it with a name tag or without a name tag. I think I will do it very, very comfortable. If we have 5, 10, 15 Ambazonians who would be sincere in any department that they are called into and they are not able to square in and they say it straightforward, I think it will help us a lot. Like I always like to make reference to when I would like to say, let me say, when we're still in a little darkness, because at the time that Mungaka was the major language of Bible, before Pidgin came in and started over, a lot of people who did not even understand Mungaka, when they went to church, at least they will come out there with a kind of a spirit that is cool. When I say dampen, I don't mean dampen in a negative way, but they will come out there believing that some extraordinary power or something that they cannot explain has taken place and their lives were different. Just the which I would like to say that it is the same thing that when the Athenians, they had exhausted all the names of the gods and all the creatures of God in their city. They had a temple which they wrote there to the unknown God. After all the other gods that they had carved out from things that God created, they came and put one temple and say, this is dedicated to the unknown God. And of course, those worshippers inside there who were worshiping the unknown God, they were all very attentive. And one day, Paul the apostle came in and said, hey, this is wonderful. You are worshiping the unknown God. That is the God that I've come to talk to you about. He is really to you, he's unknown. He is the creator of the heavens and the earth. And the people get into the Lord Jesus Christ and listen to the gospel of Jesus Christ. What I'm saying is that, Mama, long live and long life for you and for what we are doing for the people of Ambazonia. And I've heard Dr. Titanta, I've heard Comrade Tanshi, and of course Dr. Ndula, and our young man who is coming up. Congratulations, young man, for joining the club of the elders. As you wash the hands of the elders and their feet, yours will be washed. So continue in that spirit and make sure that you know we don't go running after the wind. When we come in here, we come in to teach not only the Ambazonian people, we teach ourselves. And in the course of teaching others and teaching ourselves, we are building a better society that tomorrow nobody will be able to gainsay. And so, thank you very much for all of you for coming and for the program that we are having on Ethics Commission. And we believe that as the days progress, and also as we progress, a lot of Ambazonians will learn from us and go in to speak the truth. Don't go out and begin to fight those who are speaking lies. Just go in there, bring out the truth out of that lies, speak it gently, quietly, sincerely, firmly, and then we go. And once that is done, a few days ago when we were on our history, I got a few people from home front saying this is what we want to hear in Ambazonia. I mean, on ABC television. This is what we know. All the noisemakers that are out there, we know them. So you people should go ahead with this truth that you are nailing because it is entering. I want to encourage us. Let's go ahead with this truth. And for long, uh, some of the people who were deceived, they thought that those people were actually going out there to do something that was better, but they forget they only went there to discover that it was blackmail upon blackmail, and that there was nothing that was really fundamental to support and help push forward what is going on. Some of them have started coming back. Some have called their local government people and say, hey, please put my name back. I didn't know that. This is a clear testimony. I have some of them who called and said, okay, want to forge ahead. And they will come back. All of them will come back. Let's continue with the truth. Let's not fight on lies. Let's continue with the truth. And as we speak the truth gently, sincerely speaking, God, who is on our side, will make a lot of them who have just been deceived, who are ignorant, who are following foolishly, they will get cleared, and before long, we will be all on the same path to Ambazonia. But remember, there are a lot of infiltrators that have Ambazonian names, but they are not Ambazonians. There are a lot of infiltrators that have Ambazonian language, but they are not Ambazonians. There are a lot of infiltrators that have been trained to mimic everything that the real Ambazonians are doing. And in the course of their mimicking, they make some very, very outstanding mistakes and claims that we can identify them. They are not Ambazonians. And so we, the Ambazonians, God is with us and God is leading us, and we're going to make it back at home. So thank you very much once again. And for a final full stop, 1 minute to our panelists to say just the last words, closing words, and then we'll call it quit for today. Over to you, Dr. Ndula.
Well,
Last
thank you.
words.
I think everybody should know that we are fighting for our independence, total independence of one Ambazonia. We'll be in one parliament, in one building in Boya. Whether you like it or not, you will have to talk with me, or I will have to talk with you. So do the right thing, be an adult, and come out and let us talk. Instead of sitting there and throwing out insults and punches and throwing tantrums, anybody can do that. Any teenager can do that. And children growing up can do that. But for us adults who are here in the security of the diaspora, that we will stay alive and we will not be harassed every day under the pain of death, like all those on the home front. If I get insulted because somebody has a different opinion, well, who cares? Only my ego and my whatever my feelings would be hurt. But those on home front, it's their lives that are at stake. So let us man up, let us woman up, so to say, and then talk to each other. So I'm inviting all those coup plotters or ex-coup plotters. Some of you might be feeling ashamed to come back. Don't. We are all one, but we are there to follow our interim constitution and all the rules and laws of Ambazonia and all the ethical guidelines that we have. So that is what differentiates the goat from the sheep this day. So that's what we want to make the international community know. We can govern ourselves, and we are well structured and well behaved, and we deserve having our country, whose independence we already declared on 1st October 2017. So come back all onto that independence train. It's only that Ambazonian train under President Sako Ikome Samuel that is destined for Boya. All other trains, well, they are different trains. So come back on board. Let us battle it out. Let us talk. Let us debate and quarrel and then fix it. Because those on home front, 8 million Ambazonians, you owe it to them. You are there as a servant, not as a leader, not to be saying, oh, my ego is hurt or whatever, my feelings are hurt, so what? I mean, we have to strengthen up and then do this for all 8 million Ambazonians and for Africa at large. Thank you.
Yeah, Dr. Titanta, go ahead and give us your last word before Dr. Comrade Tanshi will give us his last word. And then we'll cross over to our co-host to say a final nail you, and then we call it quit for today. All right, over to you, sir.
Yes, as the topic for today was the importance of ethical leaders for our society. There are quite a lot of importance. There was one that was not really mentioned, which I would just like to mention to close up, and which is about the radiation, the value of the nation on international and national scale. That when a nation is governed by ethical leaders, internationally it is a well-respected nation. Internationally, it is it's an outstanding nation. In Africa, Africa is not. Most of us who come from Africa in the West, the way we are treated, it's a reflection of the kind of leadership we have home. People don't respect us here because they know that in Africa is made up of all corrupt leaders. But yet today we still have countries in Africa which are actually doing well. When the other day I was just making a small research on corruption index globally, and I found nations like Botswana with a corruption index, anti-corruption index of 60, compared to Denmark, which is the most uncorrupt society and most uncorrupt nation in the world, with an index of 88. You had a country like Rwanda with 54. And these are countries that are well respected around the world. We all know about Rwanda right now because of the ethical leadership that they have in the country. So, and then when you look at a country like La Republic of Cameroon with a anti-corruption index of 25, which is really at the bottom. That nation is really, nobody can respect nations like this. So really, It is very important. You will be able to travel and go do your business around the world, because people will respect the nation you're coming from. Yeah, you see, sometimes I'm running a business here. I want to get goods from Africa. I find goods coming easily from places like Ghana, goods coming from places like Rwanda so easily. But from Cameroon, it's impossible because of the unethical leader, the corrupt system that is going on in the place. So the outlook of the nation is bright when you have really ethical leaders. And I would like to use this to call all those who left us because they were misguided, because they just went because of naivety, they followed the coup plotters. Please come home. Let us learn together and chart the course forward. We are just all trying to learn and grow and build this our beautiful nation, which will be a nation for all of us. So come back home, comrade. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Comrade Chancy, thanks.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thanks very much, Dr. Titanta. Let me pick the other side of what you said, because the heading, the topic of today was advantages of ethical leadership, or importance of ethical leadership. So as you said, let me also pick the other side of what you've mentioned concerning a country. And thank God we have a leader now that when we reach there, that will happen. If you have take the side of respect and trust of your citizens, we know the world is fast becoming a global village. In the case of getting good, take the case of where a person is, a country has ethical leadership in it. The leader, that what are the advantages? Those who want to leave that country and go and work abroad, they will be respected. They will enter a plane and fly, even business class, to go to their jobs or to go and take up that position. This idea of now, where countries with no ethical leadership, what is the disadvantage? People are crossing the Mediterranean in dinghies, suffering in Mexico in bushes to go elsewhere and work instead of sitting down in planes. That is a reflection of just what a country is missing, of not having ethical leadership. Yeah, you can go and work abroad, but sit in a plane, be in a first class plane, go, come back, and maybe not like having a one-way ticket never to come back. And even when you go to a position in some of those places, sometimes you leave position in relative terms better in your country and go and you take a lower position elsewhere, going through dinghies. So you can see what unethical leadership breeds to a country. Nobody respects you. I just decided to take the other side that Dr. Titanta took to show what ethical leadership does to a country, the advantage. And these, again, to those who are leaving us and gone to the other side, we want Ambazonia capital, Boya. You are going to the other side, they are taking you to Yaoundé. That is not what we want. Please, please think and come back. Come back. We are going to Boya to build this up. And you would imagine, as we in the other programs, imagine what from between 1953 to 67, imagine we follow that path. It continued. Imagine where we would be now. So this is very, very important. That is my last word. Thank you.
We can't hear
Thank
you.
You are mute.
We cannot hear
Thank you for
you.
the comment. Can you give me just a few seconds? I have
Okay,
a public.
go ahead.
Okay, thank you, mom and daddies. I must say I'm humbled to be with you once again on the same platform. This is one of my best programs on ABC Amber TV. You know, always when the noise, after the whole noise, the whole day of saturation and confusion, when you tune in on ABC Amber TV and you're watching Ethics for an Emerging Nation, there's always this kind of a refreshing programs with great minds like you. I would say that I'm humbled to be close to your toes so I can grab some of this wisdom. Thank you. I want to tender this apology, first of all, public and to all the panelists here. I think for the second week running, you've had to delay your program for 30 minutes. Today was 20 minutes. We apologize for that. We're doing some restructuring and setting up. I believe Pastor Commando would understand a little bit more. And some of those that are being subscribed or employed to do what we have to do have to go through some training. They have to understand our style of production. It's not like we have a studio where you people come and sit in. It would have been easy to transition from one program to the next. It's very challenging to even connect panelists globally. It's a huge challenge. So it will take us some weeks. We want to crave your indulgence and patience. We may delay some more 30 minutes, 45 minutes, sometimes even an hour. I'm talking particularly also to the audience watching us. Today, the Special Horizon show took about an hour. It was an imperative program. We needed funds to, we needed to do campaign to try, and the women want to reach out to victims of Victoria. So we take it. We can also have interruption, especially if there's an important message coming in from the SOS of communication or from the office of the president. So please bear with us, our audience. I know you love ethics, this particular program. In case it delays or other programs delay, just be patient and we'll get them fixed in time. I hope all that is happening with ABC Amber TV. We want you to visit our page, subscribe, so that peradventure you miss a live broadcast, you have a chance to watch it again via our page. You can watch every program that's going on our page 24/7. Thank you, and thanks for this platform, Pastor Commando Manka. Over to you.
Yeah, Mamanka, go ahead.
I don't have much to say. The panelists, you guys have said everything already. But I want to thank Paddy for presenting on the youth and sport department today. We appreciate you for always stepping in. Our youth department is dependent. All we are doing here today actually is because of you, all the youth. It's because of you, the future of Ambazonia. The only reason we are here is because of you guys. You are doing a wonderful job. Just like you stepped in and you presented Parta Sang's speech during ASSC2. And today, again, you have stepped in to present the speech from the Youth and Sports Department. Thank you, guys, panelists. Thank you, Commando. Back to you. And another week in the future. Let me tell you guys, the one thing I want to also recognize is our head of department, Ma Dorothy Ngwa. Ma Dorothy, she is our leader. We might be here speaking, but we have an SOS director. Her name is Ma Dorothy. She guides us and tells us what topics we need to present. So see you all next week. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mamanka. Thank you, panelists. I think Ma Dorothy is doing an awesome job. And on that note, we call it quit for today. God bless us and see us next week at the time expected. Bye-bye.